Hi, good morning to everyone. Today our topic is superscalar processor in Model 2. Superscalar processor is a CPU that implements the form of parallelism called instruction level parallelism within a single processor. So this is the definition of superscalar processor. This superscalar processor comes under the category of RISC architecture. Reduced instruction set computer is one of the parent architecture of this superscalar processor. Why we need superscalar? What is the important? What is the advantage of superscalar processor means? First, the most of the operations in superscalar processor are done with by the scalar quantities of its data. So scalar quantities of operations are performed in superscalar processor, and these scalar quantities of operations are used to get the overall improvement in its execution. Okay, and this superscalar processor executes the multiple independent instructions in parallel. This is the very important technical aspect of superscalar processor. Superscalar processor executes the multiple independent instructions in parallel. Okay, so these instructions are independent and it has more than one. So these more than one instructions, independent instructions are executed in parallel. So this is the advantage of superscalar processor. How it can be achieved? How it can be achieved means by using the concept of instruction issue rate, that is called as degree of execution. So it is simply called as D. The variable which is denoted for instruction issue rate is D. So by increasing the value of D, we can achieve this execution of multiple independent execution instructions in parallel. How we can improve? How we can increase means, first we'll see the one example diagram, example scenario of instructions where the degree value is equal to 3. Degree value equal to 3 in the sense the instruction issue rate equal to 3. Instruction issue rate equal to 3 means, how it is 3 means, for if you take one clock cycle in its pipelining execution, instead of executing a one instruction, it takes 3 instructions togetherly. These 3 instructions are having multiple independent operations. So if you take one clock cycle, the first clock cycle from 0 to 1 is considered as first clock cycle now. So if you take first clock cycle, it has the 3 instructions fetch cycle, because always when you are going for pipelining stage, the first phase is fetch phase. Here in the first clock cycle, all 3 instructions are in the fetch phase. That means the fetch phase of all 3 instructions are parallelly executing in a first clock cycle. Similarly, in the next clock cycle, second clock cycle, that first 3 instructions are in the phase of decode phase. Similarly, in the third, the first 3 instructions are in the execute stage, but in the second clock cycle itself, another pipelining stages have started. So another 3 set of instructions are in the fetch stage. So when you see the second clock cycle from 1 to 2, the second clock cycle, first 3 set of instructions are in the decode stage, and remaining the second set of 3 instructions are in the fetch stage. Likewise, instead of executing a single instruction in its pipelining stages, superscalar executes the 3 instructions together in a pipelined fashion. What is the advantage? How we can tell that it is an efficient means? Here in the example itself, we can tell that. In the example, how many clock cycles have been mentioned? 7 clock cycle. If you execute a instruction in normal traditional pipelining, how many instructions can be able to execute within 7 clock cycle? 1, 2, 3, 4. only 4 instructions can be executed successfully within the 7 clock cycle. But in superscalar operations, how many instructions have been successfully completed? Just count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 instructions are executed successfully within a 7 clock cycle in superscalar processor. So this is what the advantages of superscalar processor in its architectural wise. Okay, so by increasing the instruction issue rate IIR or D, we can execute the more instructions parallelly, thereby we can achieve instruction level parallelism. If the instruction level parallelism is achieved in instruction level, obviously the operations wise that in parallelism can be achieved in superscalar. So this is the one biggest movement in superscalar processing. Then next is typical architectural diagram of superscalar processor. Here superscalar processor has the largest register file and reorder buffer. Here the same thing is using. It consists of multiple functional units for processing independent operations. Say for example, for arithmetic operations, ALU functional unit is added, shifter unit is added. For load and store operation, load unit and store unit is added. For some branching predictions, branch functional unit is also added. These different functional units are added and associated with large register file. Similarly, this unit is separated by another part. How it is separated means, first topmost part is associated with the integer unit. For processing integer data, this topmost level unit is responsible. For processing the floating point value, this bottommost one floating point unit is responsible. Here also the same functional units are repeated. In whatever it is consisted in integer unit, the same thing is repeated here in floating point unit, but it is named as float add, float convert, float multiply, float divide, and float load, float store. Okay, so this is the naming wise it is different, and decoder is there for integer unit, and similarly one more decoder is associated for floating point unit. This decoder plays the major role. It only decides this operations functionality. So when the instruction is coming from instruction memory to cache and to cache to decoder, this decoder is a part to decide this instruction should be carried out in which of the functional unit. So it should carried out in the load unit, or it should be carried out in the function store unit, or it should be carried out in AL unit is decided by the decoder part. The same thing is applied for the floating point unit also. So when the instruction is coming from instruction cache to floating point device, the decoder only decides the functional unit for its. Okay, so this is what the typical architecture of superscalar processor. Next, we are going to see about this superscalar processor with one example. Here IBM RS6000 architecture is introduced here. This is the overall layout of IBM RS6000 architecture. Here branch processor is centralized here. It has the two functional units, fixed point processor and floating point processor. One instruction cache unit is also there. It is associated with the main memory. When you talk about the number of bits, this fixed point processor has the 32-bit architecture, and floating point has the 64-bit architecture. And here instruction cache and data cache is separately associated with the main memory, because wherever you see the RISC architecture, it has the separate data cache and instruction cache. That is what followed in IBM RS6000 architecture also. This is the architectural layout of this company.